Thank you for staying with us. Welcome back. We got so educated there, Bob, a few minutes ago.
We got schooled.
Yes. Chris, do we have some billboards? Thank you. Thank you so very much. Okay, we'd like to thank our dear friends at DB and Company Printing and Marking over at 2001 G Street. Dave Bass, a wonderful man, and they do excellent work. So please check them out at dbandcompany.com or telephone them at 661-324-2222. Thank you, Dave. And, our wonderful dear friends over at the car wash, Cruise Through. Thank you so much. Look at all the beautiful colors on that, Bob.
That's amazing.
Lava
It's
Cruise.
amazing.
I need to take my car down there and get it cleaned up. But anyway, they have so many different locations all over. But enjoy the ride through the Lava Cruise. 9 locations to serve you, actually. So thank you very much. And our friends over at Legal Shield. This is what Don talks about so well. He can do this so well. If you have need of insurance, you get that insurance, whatever it is, life insurance or whatever. Well, this is legal insurance and how we need it in this day and time. To contact Legal Shield, you can go to the website at www.legalshieldassociate.com/open up. Mm-hmm. That will let them know that you heard about it on Open Up. And last but not least, we'd like to thank our friend Robert Miller over at Kern Construction and Electric Incorporated. Robert is a longtime resident here in Bakersfield. He loves to remodel your home or your business. Electrical licensed man, so contact him at 661-322-5554. Thank you so much, Robert. And we're back.
We are right back.
What do you want to say? Anything?
Okay, so I have a question.
Okay.
You mentioned the quotes from the neighbor when you were 16, the Thoreau and all the other things that you learned. Were there any other things that happened in your life that were like epiphany moments, like light bulb moments where you shifted direction?
Well, I've led for some reason, I recognized very early on that time was the treasure. I didn't work a summer until I was 30 years old. No matter what job I had, I would go in, and I would always do pretty good in my jobs. And I would go in somewhere around end of April, and I would tell the boss, I'm quitting. And they would look at me like, what do you mean you're quitting? You're doing great here. I said, and they said, why? And I said, well, it's summer. It's summer. See, I recognize that the treasure of lack of responsibility and no debt, etc., and my youth, and that was only going to come one time in life. I encourage people to relook at education.
Yes.
You see, you got to understand, when we go to school in our culture, it's a training center. We don't go to school to learn how to live. We go to school to learn how to work. You see, if you want to learn about life, and if school was about life, then you'd have courses like Relationships 101, Parenting 101. But of course, we don't have those because school is, the guidance counselor is there to make sure you're employable. They're not there to make sure your life is enjoyable. That has to come from someplace else. And so very early on, I realized, that time, I was going to take it. And that's what I did. And it worked out very, very well for me. So, yeah. Time was what it was about.
I know you have the college and such, but do you actually loan yourself out to be a mentor?
I do. I mentor a number of people, and I speak at churches. And, and by the way, we're talking about the stories bucket.
Yes.
I should just real quickly say that there's a lot more important things in there than play and places. There's prayer, there's a peace, there's parity, a fair distribution of God's abundance to all of his equally loved children, and that's in the stories bucket. Okay. And the biggie that's in the stories bucket, the one that makes, the Declaration of Independence talks about happiness. Not once, but twice, by the way. Most people don't realize that. The pursuit of happiness. Well, the real pursuit is in purpose. And purpose is in the stories bucket. It's purpose that stitches together the otherwise random scenes in our lives into a meaningful whole. We should see our lives as stories. We should see our lives as movies. And movies end with an amazing ending that ties it all together for the audience. We should think of our lives as movies. And what are we living with our lives?
Wow.
What is our message?
Right.
What is our message?
Right.
What's it all about?
I was just having a conversation with my wife just this week that it's a rare thing to find someone who finishes well.
Yeah.
That as they get towards the end, they look back and there's no regrets, and they just finish well. Most of the time, we go kicking and screaming into that good night. I mean, honestly, we do.
People that fear life, fear death, it has been shown time and time again, are those that felt that they missed life.
Right.
You see, one of my quotes I use, and I have it behind me, I won't reach for it now, but one of the quotes I use is a deathbed quote, and it says, "What if I lived my life all wrong? What if I missed it? What if I was fooled? Just one chance." You know, there's two ways they say that you can get a people to submit to authority. You know, one is to force them into submission, and the other is to fool them into submission. And many of us have been fooled into believing that life is about houses and Hummers.
Right.
It's what zip code I live in. It's what
good.
clothes I'm wearing.
That's good.
And that's not what life's about. The true joy, the fulfillment of life comes in living out your individual story.
That's right.
Speaking of stories, you have written the book.
It's in process,
It's,
yep.
Can you talk more about it,
It's
please?
going to be the 3 buckets of life and everything. But I love, here's some amazing statistics. And this is, the world, the media and others want to divide us into Republicans and Democrats, into liberals and conservatives, into haves and have-nots. That's not the division. The division in the world is between the learners and the non-learners. We must read. See, it's only through books that we can actually access the voice of someone who may have died 1,000 years ago. Books are what it's about. If you want to live a big life, you have to become a learner. This is the latest book I'm pushing. I'm going to leave it with you guys. It's Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. It's got the Coconut College Win approval sticker.
Approval sticker.
Coconut College approved.
It's an amazing book that if every kid in college read that book, their perspective of life, and all of life is about perspective. Do you see it as stories or as stuff? That's a book that everyone should read. It's a wonderful book.
Outliers. So just a sentence of what's in here.
Outliers is really the idea that, you see, we've privatized success in our culture, and we do that all the time. It's the self-made man. It's the rags to riches story. None of that is true. We should never privatize success. The truth is that we're all products of success. We're products of our parents, our cultural legacy, our parental legacy, and much of life is happy accidents, undeserved blessings, things that happen to us. And when you see somebody who's successful, it's not because they did it on their own.
Right.
It's the old story of the fellow that walks through the forest and he sees the turtle up on the cut off tree stump. He doesn't know how the turtle got there, but he knows the turtle didn't get there by himself.
Right.
And none of us got there by ourselves. And we need to understand and not grab success as, look at me, look how successful I am. No, look at how fortunate I've been is really the truth. And that's a great book to
Excellent.
Joe, I have a question for you. What do you think is the largest impediment, the largest obstacle that people face when they want to live a life where they're redeeming time and putting things in the story bucket rather than the stuff bucket? What holds them back?
Well, Rollo May said that the opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice, it's conformity. Conformity is the enemy. We look sideways at the other cows on the way to the slaughterhouse, and we judge where we are in life by what they're doing.
That's true.
See, when I didn't work until summer until I was 30, I made sure I wasn't looking sideways at my friends who were all chasing the buck and missing out. I know people today, and you do as well.
Okay.
People go. You need to jump.
No. He says we have 1 minute to credits.
Yeah, but you know people today that are spending time that they will never get back.
It's true.
To make money they will never spend. See, you have to understand that. So it's conformity. Oh, well, everybody else is doing it, so I guess I better do it as well.
Right.
That's an excellent point. And while you were speaking, he was displaying the contact information for you. So it was on the screen. Yes, it was on the screen. So less than 30 seconds to go. We want to thank you so much for all this
Yes.
information and about the college. We'd love to have you back sometime.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Joe.
you for joining us. Don, we miss you, and we'll look forward to next week. Thank you all for joining us.